Welcome to Economics Today, the thrilling game show about macroeconomics. I'm so excited. Today we have two vivacious contestants, Brandy and Candice. I'm Randy. Now let's get started. We are focusing on New Zealand's economy. Question number 1. What is the Central Bank of New Zealand called and what is its monetary policy? Yes, Candice.
The Central Bank of New Zealand is called the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, and its monetary policy is to focus on inflation rates. They want their overnight cash rate, which is the interest rate. Their target for that is 2.5%, and their target inflation rate is 2%.
Ooh, very, very well said. Okay, 5 points to you. Moving on to question number 2. Is growth expected in New Zealand over the next 2 years and why? Yes, Brandy.
Over the next 2 years, growth is expected to accelerate between 2.5 to 3%, and this is most definitely due to the reconstruction after the earthquake in Canterbury, and also the strengthening of the housing market, especially in Auckland.
I think you've forgotten that lower funding costs for New Zealand banks and increased competition has led to an increase in marginal propensity to consume, resulting in a decrease in mortgage interest rates and an increase in the long run growth.
Very good additions there, Candice. I think I'll give you 5 points each for that. Ooh. This is a discussion question. Are you ready? Tell me about the New Zealand dollar.
The high New Zealand dollar, and that's
I'll take it from here. This encourages imports and discourages exports.
this could also be due to the continued strength of the exchange rate.
5 points each for that one, girls. Next question. What is the GDP of New Zealand? Yes, Candice.
$202,018 million, and per capita it's $28,372.
That would be correct. 5 points. Now, we have a drawing question. Have you got your paper and pens ready? What impact did the earthquake in Canterbury have on the economy? Explain using an aggregate demand model.
So as you can see, there was a decrease in long run aggregate supply, which caused a decrease in potential output. This led to an increase in inflation as it moved from A to B. And obviously, since the Reserve Bank has an inflation target, they decreased aggregate demand by shifting their policy reaction function. And this caused, for a while, there to be a contractionary output gap, but slowly this contractionary output gap responded to economic pressures and decreased the inflation back to D. And then that's what happened. So there was a decrease in long and aggregate supply, but the Reserve Bank acted quickly with their inflation policy.
Very, very good, Brandy. Very nice. We'll move on to the next question. Don't break anything.
Like my phone.
What impact did the earthquake have elsewhere in the economy? Yes, Candice.
The earthquake impacted unemployment as people's work got destroyed. At the same time, it encouraged investment in infrastructure. Unemployment dropped to 7.3%, but it encouraged investment in infrastructure as they had to rebuild parts of Canterbury and Christchurch after the earthquake. I don't know if I said that. Savings have decreased because people had to spend their savings in order to increase the investment, although this is cautious because consumer confidence has been lowered.
Yeah, extremely well put. Extremely well put.
Oh, and it's going to cost $20 billion to rebuild.
Yes, it is. 20 billion. Wow, a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. Now for the decider. This question is worth 150 points. How did the global economy affect New Zealand? I think that one goes to Brandy.
Alright, so first we're going to look at the emergence of China as a trading partner. So this made it possible for New Zealand to import cheaply because obviously China's exports are ridiculously cheap due to their undervalued currency. And then we're going to look at, I guess, just the global economy in general. Since the GFC, it's a weak recovery because of all of the debts around the world. And this has had a negative impact on the New Zealand economy for sure. And finally, we're going to look at a bit closer to home, Australia. In 2011, there were the floods in Queensland, and Queensland's a very agricultural-based economy.
Really, Brandon?
Yes. And so those floods happened, and that meant there was an increase in demand for agriculture from New Zealand. But since there's been a recovery in Queensland, there's a decrease in demand, and that's led to a bit of a negative effect on the economy.
Wow, very good, very good. That means that you are the winner. I'm very sorry, Candice. Thank you for playing. Thank you for coming to this week's episode of Economics Today, and please tune in next week for more fun.